Welcome back everybody, it's Untapper Go, and today I have a user submitted request to play Ogre Battledriver in Standard. So this is a gruul list built around Ogre Battledriver, and this is a 4-mana 3/3 that's going to give all of our creatures that come into play +2/+0 in haste, so they can come in and beat face the turn they come in. So we're playing a bunch of things that benefit from this effect, like one of the most notable is Siege Dragon. Now when this attacks, if the defending player controls no walls, which pretty much most players aren't going to control walls, they're not very popular in Standard, but when it attacks and they have no walls, it deals 2 damage to each creature they control that doesn't have flying. So this can be like sometimes a one-sided board wipe against our opponent's creatures. Clear the way, and it's going to have haste, so it gets to attack for 7 in the air the turn it comes in. It's very good. We're also playing 2 copies of Terror of the Peak. Now this doesn't have haste on its own, but it is really good to have this as a haste threat because it curves right after Ogre Battledriver. So it's a 5-mana 7/4 in this deck if we have Ogre Battledriver into play, and then anything we play after is going to deal damage to our opponent's face when it comes into play. So we're going to have both of these. With both of these in play, they're going to come in, they're going to get the +2 from Ogre Battledriver, and then Terror of the Peak's trigger goes on the stack, and we hit the opponent's face for a bunch of damage. We're also playing 2 copies of Elder Gargaroth. This is a 5-mana 6/6 with Vigilance, Reach, and Trample. So this is nice. When it comes in, it'll be an 8/6 and has Trample, and it gets to attack the turn it comes in, and you get to choose one of the abilities when it attacks or blocks, creating a 3/3 Beast token, gain 3 life, or draw a card. We're also playing 1 copy of Nessian Boar. This is a 5-mana 10/6, and all creatures that your opponent controls has to block it if able, and when they do, they get to draw cards, which is kind of a downside, but hopefully since we're only playing 1 copy, we play it as like the finishing card if we already have a bunch of creatures into play, and it'll attack, kind of like decoy all of our creatures away and allow us to beat our opponent down. We're also playing 3 copies of Questing Beast. This is a 4-mana 4/4 that has a whole bunch of stuff. This is a text box on a card: Vigilance, Death Touch, and Haste. Can't be blocked by creatures to power 2 or less. Death Touch, and when it deals damage to a player, it gets to deal that much damage to a planeswalker that player controls. We are playing 3 copies of Bonecrusher Giant to be able to deal with our opponent's creatures, as well as have a giant 4/3 that comes in as a 6/3 with haste thanks to Battledriver. Playing 2 copies of Shatterskull Smasher. This creature already has haste, and when we play it, if we don't kick it, it goes back to our hand. So most of the time we can play it early on and get some just early damage in, and then if we have the 5 mana, it'll come in as a 5/4 with Trample and haste, which is pretty cool. And then if we have the Ogre, you already know 7/4 is pretty good, and then we can just, you know, we're going to beat our opponent down pretty good with that. We have 2 copies of Kazandu Mammoth. This is a creature and a land, so it's nice to be able to play it and have haste. This card would be so much better if it had haste, as pretty much every other creature in this deck that don't already have it. And then to finish off the rest of the deck, we're playing 4 copies of Brushfire Elemental. This is another creature that already has haste, but it can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. So this coming in as a 3/1 with haste that can't be blocked by our opponent's creatures, and having the added benefit of being able to pump itself afterwards with lands is really good, and it's going to hopefully beat down our opponent enough to win the game. We're also playing 2 copies of Turntimber Symbiosis. This is going to reveal the top 7 cards of our library, and we get to put a creature into play, and hitting any of our creatures in this deck outside of Stonecoil Serpent is going to be really good for us. And that is the deck. In the mana base, we're just playing a mix, and we're playing all 4 pathways and 2 Fabled Passages to help aid the Brushfire Elemental, and that is Ogre Battledriver. Thank you, Gamer Guy, for the suggestion. I hope you enjoyed the gameplay, and for all the other viewers, if you are not subscribed, please consider hitting the subscribe button down below, as well as the bell so you can stay up to date. Hit a like on today's video if you like it. If you don't, comment down below, tell me why, suggest something else if you want to see something else on camera, and that is it. Let's take this into the arena and see how we do. Alright, going into game 1, our opponent's on the play, and our opening hand is pretty cool. We have a Stonecoil we can play on 1 if we want, or on turn 3. We also have the Brushfire that we can play on turn 2. Tectonic Giant's going to help us find us some cards, and Terror of the Peaks. I also forgot to mention this in the deck tech, actually, so we're playing 1 copy of Tectonic Giant as well. I think I actually skipped over all of the 4 drops. Oh no, I didn't. I talked about Questing Beast. Don't listen to me. All the turkey has really gotten to me. Let's play this for 1. One notable thing in this deck as well is that Siege Dragon and Ogre Battledriver are not legal in traditional Standard. They're only legal in Standard because they're part of the Arena supplementary set, just to have like a little extra cards in the format, I suppose. But to play those cards in a traditional way, you would have to play it in Historic, just as a notable thing to remember. Play out a Brushfire Elemental and get in for 2. We drew into our 4th land, which is cool, so now we don't have to worry about our mana too bad. If we can find an Ogre Battledriver, then the rest of these cards will be amazing. We're still a bit of a ways. and keep eating down in the meantime. And that's the nice thing about having these cards, is that it's going to get down that easy chip damage and buy you some time. Now our opponent has a Storm's Wrath, so it's going to clear the way for the rest of our creatures to not, you know, hopefully be dealt with. I guess we'll play the Tectonic Giant because we want to find the Ogre Battledriver. This will help us draw. And if our opponent decides to target it with anything, we get to the effect. The opponent's drawing, they're trying to find some answers. I wonder if this is the draw your second card deck. Probably. Double Thrill of Possibility seems good. Hectic Inventory, okay. Very much on the draw plan. Now, so this is going to deal 6 on its own. We can also play this for the 5 mana and have it come down as 5, so that's 11 damage. We can also play the Terror of the Peaks. Either way, we can't kill them this turn. So let's attack first. Exile the top 2. I guess the Brushfire is the best out of the 2, right? We're just going to play Terror of the Peaks. So now, next turn, these 2 are... I don't think we can play this, right? Yeah, no. Okay, so these 2 cards together should close out the game. If our opponent has another Storm's Wrath, that you know, that sucks a little bit. And they're definitely searching. Let's do the Thunder Raptor for our opponent, okay? Our Tectonic Giant lives to see another day, which is cool. Still no Battledriver. But, just playing this for haste and getting in there should be enough. Yep. Good game, opponent. Okay, we are on the play, and our opening hand seems pretty cool, so we're going to try it out. We're up against Dolores deck, which is... could be a number of things. Might be the Rakdos Sacrifice deck, could be Clerics, could be Mill. There's so many variations you can abuse with this guy's effect. One thing to remember though is that since he is using it as a companion, he has to follow the companion rules, so each creature in his starting deck is going to have converted mana cost 2 or less, or at least each permanent rather. We all know what this card does by now for sure. Go ahead and play out our Goose. It wants to let them know I have a Stonecoil Serpent. Okay. Flourishing Fox for opponent, so it's Dolores Cycling deck. Interesting. We're definitely going to go ahead and Bonecrusher this now, before he can draw anything. Opponent draws some cards. Go ahead and play this for the green so we can have the triple for the Turntimber eventually. And we'll play our natural Humblest. We're still not going to play our Stonecoil Serpent just yet. My neighbor's card is started, so please don't mind that if you hear it. I'm sorry. Found another green source, which is cool. So now I play our Bonecrusher Giant, and we'll still hold off on the Stonecoil Serpent. We don't need to worry about it right now. Valiant Rescuer for our opponent, so they're going to try to start going wide. Yep. Alright, we found a Tectonic Giant. That's cool. So one more land and we can Turntimber. For now, I think I'll play a Tectonic Giant. And I'll just attack for 4. See if our opponent wants to cycle and jump. Yep. They're getting their chip damage in, and I mean, Zenith Flare is a real card. just played that in my last video, so. Pass the turn. Yep. So Bonecrusher is pretty good to get rid of this Valiant Rescuer. What I think we do is attack with the Bonecrusher and the Tectonic Giant, try to find some cards. Depending on how our opponent blocks, is whether or not I'll use the Bonecrusher, because I kind of want to make sure they don't have Lurrus to buy back all their permanents. That's like the biggest threat of the deck, probably. Oh, we found a Siege Dragon. That's pretty good. It's not a land, though. And we need an Ogre to give it haste to make its effect really worth it. So we'll grab the Questing Beast. That's probably the better pick. Okay. And our opponent decides not to double block or anything. So startling development. At that point, I'll just kill it. Our opponent can play their Lurrus though, which is going to be a bummer. So I'll play out our Questing Beast. So our opponent didn't find the land, so they can't play Lurrus this turn. They can buy it, though. Ooh, there's the Ogre. Yeah, we're going to play that. We're definitely going to play that. So I can Turntimber Symbiosis now as a land and play the Bonecrusher Giant. I can also play the Stonecoil Serpent to give it trample. I feel like the Stonecoil is probably better just because it has trample. We'll auto-play that. And yeah, let's just get in with everything. We're going to deal 3 damage to our opponent. Opponent only has 9 cards in graveyard. They're not always cycling either, so they can't Zenith Flare us to death out of nowhere. Yeah, Battledriver. Opponent's in the tank trying to figure out how to get out of this mess. Alright, land off the top isn't good, but we don't care because we get our Bonecrusher Giant, and that's going to have haste. Fair enough. Still go to combat. We're going to get in with everything. Exile the top 2. Both are lands. Not very good. I guess we'll grab the Fabled Passage so we can shuffle. Well, they have 10 cards in grave, so that's still pretty sketchy, but we have a way to gain 3, so we're at a virtual 17 if we need to be. Here comes Lurrus. We get a fox. And might as well gain a life here. And I might as well shuffle the library. I'm gonna grab another red source just to have it, I guess. Doesn't really matter. Okay, Humble Bumble is not bad. Our opponent has to block pretty much everything, so we're just gonna attack with everything. Sure. Ooh. What can I deal 1 to? I can kill the Valiant Rescuer. And the Nessian Boar isn't going to have haste anyway. So I can't attack with it. It'll be 2 turns before that matters. So I'll Spikefield Hazard to get rid of the Valiant Rescuer. Opponent's taking 4 regardless, unless they block it with one of these 2. They're at a virtual 9 with gaining life from Loris. This opponent takes 5 and gains 3. Then they go down to 4. They lose everything. Not even a Zenith Flare is enough to save them. Good game, opponent. We drew the Battledriver as well. Beating them down, Battledriver style. So we're gonna keep... nah. We don't have the green. I think our opponent disconnected. I'm not really sure. Put back the Gargaroth. We do have a Battledriver in our opening hand, which is awesome. So our opponent was slow rolling us for some reason. Actually in the game finally. And we have Siege Dragon to complement it. This is cool. Up against probably Esper Doom. Or some form of Esper control. We're going to play out the Brushfire and see what happens. Alright, nothing. Opponent has absolutely nothing. What are you up to, opponent? They're off to a very slow start, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to be up to something good here. Play our Goose and play our land. We can play our Battledriver next turn. Opponent. Omen in the Sun for our opponent. Okay, so yeah, this is probably Doom Foretold. No blocks either. Well, they can't. Alright, Birth for Melodist. I mean, at least it destroys all walls, too, your opponent controls. That's pretty cool. Birth Melodist being low-key, like, good tech against us. Like, okay. We drew into another land, which is cool. We'll play it as a green in case we draw into Turntimber. And we'll run out our Battledriver and hope it resolves. It does. Let's get in for 3 more damage. And now... now we're off to getting super aggressive here. There it is. There it is. We love to see it. Alright. What can I sacrifice? I guess I sacrifice the Goose as much as I don't want to. So they're gonna lose their Birth. And the only thing that they have in play is their Omen. That they'll be able to keep. Might as well get as much damage out as this Brushfire. That's probably what I'm going to end up sacrificing next turn. Get 2 in here. Put this here. That also has haste. Let's go. Let's go. Alright, comes down to 10. Back up to 12. They lose their birth. Oh no, they get the... Okay. I guess it doesn't matter. Opponent has to play something here. That's pretty good. They choose even. Gets rid of our Battledriver. Yep, we lose our Bonecrusher. I'm actually gonna play the Mammoth as a land. I'll be able to have the Bonecrusher on the ready. I'm assuming our opponent can't. They might have something to play at instant speed. No, they're just gonna lose their doom. At least it fell on their turn, so we don't discard a card and they don't get a knight out of it. Alright, Banishing Light's not bad for our opponent either. Another birth. Alright, here's a goose. Now if this stays around for one more turn, we destroy their wall, and then we get to attack down with our Siege Dragon. Alright, let's do it. Opponent's like, what? Yeah, that's right. Yup. Scry 2, man. Dig for that answer. Alright, they like both cards, so that's actually pretty sketchy. Wipes a smile off my face for sure. But they might have found like a dance, and if they did, then we're in a lot of trouble. They have a lot of stuff to bring back. Extinction Event's pretty good too. Yep. Alright, we need something good off the top. That card is not good. Oh no. Oh no. Oh god. Alright, well that's not terrible. We got the lands too, so we can pump it up a little bit. We got them down to 11. Oh no, they found their dance. I see them digging in their graveyard. Yeah. That's definitely a good game, so we're gonna scoop it on up. Welcome back to the wrap up, everybody. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. Today we went 2-1 with the Ogre Battledriver with gruul in standard, and the deck was a lot of fun. The Ogre Battledriver is crazy, giving all your creatures haste and +2 was a lot of fun. We got to blow up some walls with Siege Dragon, but we didn't get to utilize this to the fullest potential, nor did we get to utilize our Terror all that well. But the deck performed as much as I wanted it to do, and we got to beat some people down. Again, thank you for the suggestion, Gamer Guy. Please consider leaving another suggestion pretty soon. I want to try to get to everybody's suggestions. Anyone who wants to leave any suggestions that haven't already, please consider doing so, because I really take it seriously and I enjoy playing the decks that you all suggest for me. So thank you for watching. That's it for today's video, everybody, and I'll catch you next time.